BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward.
If you're not obsessed with it, you're not going to be the best at it. You have to be obsessed. But you can't be obsessed during the match. You have to be obsessed when practice comes. Your obsession comes then. Your obsession comes waking up in the morning. Your obsession comes when you fall asleep at night.
In today's episode, I bring back one of the best college tennis coaches in the country, Marco Matteucci. He's the head men's tennis coach at NJIT in New Jersey. He's the architect behind their Southland Conference Championship, which is the first in school history. He's known for building winning cultures. He shares the secrets of his team's success, from mastering daily routines and handling pressure to harnessing the power of mental resilience and meditation. We're going to dive into a conversation about leadership, accountability, and the evolving challenges of college tennis. Coach Matteucci's insights will inspire you whether you're striving for excellence in life or on and off the playing field. Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart. A former athlete and motivational coach, I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land.
I'm always a big fan of part twos, and the BTB Project, a little over a year and a half ago, got to speak with a gentleman that was just getting his feet underneath him. The head men's tennis coach at NJIT has had nothing but tremendous success over this last year. And it's always a small world in the tennis community. Marco Matteucci is someone that comes from a friend of mine, Alex Liatu, Colorado tennis icon. And we have a lot to cover. His team is the Southland Conference champions last year, just earning unbelievable national and regional recognition. Marco has also just been an instrumental part of the team's success, guiding his players like Pablo Perez, Ramos, and Will Jenkins to impressive rankings. And I'm just excited to tap into his team culture, what a championship journey looks like. And out of the gate, Marco, what does the NJIT men's tennis program built to be journey look like for you guys in 2025?
Well, it's continuously trying to build a championship-like program to be able to develop these guys and help them reach their potential until graduation, and hopefully make them better people as we get them out of our college life and get ready for the world.
In our last conversation, we discussed the importance of building a resilient team culture. And as much as we're going to talk about your success today, I just would love for you to start with, how does that culture evolve over the past year since you've been in place, and how did the team influence that culture during the championship season?
Well, we stuck to our daily routines. At the end of the day, routines are what makes success. When you do something 365 days a year, eventually you get better. We have a philosophy of competition here every day. So we challenge our guys to continuously play different patterns of play so that we're ready to compete. We don't spend much time doing reps. We only do it when it's a necessity and it's a need individually for players. But from a commonality standpoint, it's about having those routines daily and seeing the same constant patterns of play so that they can be successful on the court after that.
That's interesting you mentioned patterns, Marco, because one thing I've learned in my tennis journey is you can be that guy that can go out and hit 500 balls cross court, but can you be the guy that knows how to handle pressure pack situations? And it sounds like you put your team into those types of situations often in practice so that when those moments come up, when the moment arises in competition, that you're ready for it. So why don't you dig a little bit deeper of if I'm at a practice session for NJIT, what are you doing with your guys that is outside of just hitting balls?
Basically just putting them in a situation where they're competing every day, and that's the fun thing. They also challenge themselves, and they get upset at themselves, and they get upset at their teammates when they lose or they win, and they tease each other, they poke each other. If somebody won a certain game drill that we played, but it puts them in a position of understanding that it's not about winning or losing. It's about, did you execute the quality needed in order to perform the task? So was your ball good enough? Did you serve good enough? Did you hit the ball in the proper angle or depth needed? Did you make your opponent run? So it's a lot of different factors for us when we're continuously pushing our guys to compete against each other, is to also understand at the end of the day, it's not about winning or losing. It's just about the quality of that pattern of play that was executed.
I remember when you were telling me about your personal journey and what you were known for as the Italian that could move and extend points and really grind, have a grind mentality, winning national championships. But knowing the landscape of where the game is going based off of some of the patterns and tactics that you're teaching, where do we stand in 2024? And has much changed from when you were playing back in the day?
Oh, I mean, certainly the game has gotten faster, but I also think that because the game has gotten faster, now there's a certain ability to change the pace and use slicing more and forward movement more compared to maybe just a few years ago. But at the end of the day, it's constructive. It's constructing a point the right way. Sometimes you'll be able to finish those points within, 3 to 4 shots. When you don't finish it in 3 to 4 shots, then you got to construct it and you got to be able to open up the court, be resilient, be a defensive player, turn defense into offense, which happens a lot, at the college level. As much as we look at the percentages where we know that points are usually, especially on the men's side, they finish early. It doesn't mean that on a deuce point, you're not going to get into a 13, 14, 15 ball rally for sure. And especially us, that we're a northern team, that we tend to play indoors a lot with fast courts. When we play our conference and have to go down to the Southland, we know that if we're not keeping a ball in place and we're not making 10, 12 shots, then our opponent is probably going to have the best of us. So it's a mix of understanding how to create the point and how to fight through the point in order to get to the outcome that you want.
Obviously, you've instilled a culture, you're instilling practices that prepare your team for success in these pressure pack situations, which has produced the results that you have. But that also comes with some leadership too, Marco. And I just remember the last time we spoke, you were very adamant about the importance of leading by example, to not just talk the talk, but to actually instill the leadership qualities that you expect to see from your guys. So, based off of what you've seen in your program and the growth that you've had as a coach, what are some tangibles in your leadership philosophy you've been able to tap into?
Well, just make sure that they understand that life is not right here, that we do have to be present, and we do have to make sure that when we go throughout our day, did we start our day the way that we wanted it to? And did we accomplish those goals at the end of the day? Certainly I show up to the early practices that we do at 6 a.m.s. When we do those, I show up to some of the strength and conditioning. I work closely with the strength and conditioning coaches that we have as well. And I just make sure that we try to keep on telling ourselves that if we don't do everything correctly day by day, it's going to be hard to find the end result.
Mm. Yeah, I saw an interesting quote from Roger Federer the other day when he did his Dartmouth speech about his success. And he's won like 80% of his matches, but he's only won 56% of the points. So I back that into what you just mentioned about what you're doing day in and day out, and that this sport is such a unique sport because there is an element of failure that comes with it, but yet you're sharpening the axe. You're trying to do everything you can to control your controllables. So as I walk through that type of analogy and you think back to these 10, 11 match streak runs and conference championships and success that's been unprecedented for the school, what really does it come down to on a daily basis? Is it more of a mental thing? Is it more of a physical thing? Or is it all of the above thing?
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
curious perspective.
we just got a good group of guys together that said, "Do we want to make history?"
Mm,
And what are we willing to do to make history? And I remember last year, in particularly, we went down to Texas during spring break when we actually lost to Incarnate Ward during the regular season. And that's when our guys actually, without even me saying anything, were like, "We're not working hard enough."
ah,
And it came from them. It came from them, and that's the kind of quality players that we have here. And I said, "Okay, if this isn't good enough, all right, 6 a.m.s." So we came back from spring break and we started 6 a.m.s. And the 6 a.m.s were very, very simple. It was about annoying the hell out of you. You got to make 200 balls in a row. Once you make 200 balls in a row, we're going to go 300 balls in a row. And it
mm.
was just a miss. I'm gonna put every ball in play. I'm gonna run down every ball. And it was what we needed, to go outdoors and compete outdoors because, predominantly our success comes indoors. It comes on fast pace, serving big, coming in. You serve out wide, you take the ball and you go into the open court, you try to move forward, you finish it with a volley. But you can't do that as quickly outdoors. So they
Yeah.
felt that. They felt that they needed to work harder. And so at the end of the day, we as coaches give them the tools to be successful. But unless you have the character out there and you recruit the right character, it's not going to happen. And you might not have everybody that's always on board, but if they become a good unit, that person who's on the outside eventually even comes together with the rest of them. And that's what we did. We just fought to the end.
You bring up a good point, coach. That Incarnate Ward match, as much as it's never fun to have those tough losses, you sometimes learn more from your losses than you do your wins. And when it comes to some of these new lessons you've learned since our last conversation, what are some of the lessons that have surprised you or maybe even challenged your perspective? Because I know you have such a strong perspective of how you want to recruit, how you want to build culture. But what are some of the things that have made you challenged or pushed you a little bit?
You Every day, kids challenge you. Your environment challenges you. Then when you become a player, the wind challenges you, the sun challenges you, the dry air or the humidity challenges you. So when we have to always go from being 11-0 or 10-0 indoors and then going down to Texas and playing a team that, yes, is certainly like UT Arlington. We went and we played and we lost 4-3, and it was 20-mile-an-hour winds, and we're dealing with all these adversities. I think you just learn how to breathe,
Mm,
but also you learn how to try and tell the kids to sit back for a second and reflect on why something went wrong or why something went right. Because obviously we have people who won that day and what worked for you, and share that with your teammates, Um, for me it's a constant it's always a constant evolution. If you're not learning from every instance, it's going to be hard to get better. And I think this past year, one of the things that I kind of did differently was to let them speak before I told them what I believed was the
Mm,
reason. And I had them evaluate themselves first. And then I always tell them we live in a world of social media and everybody's always in a spotlight. It's how do you want to be seen if a camera was on you and the world was seeing you? So, what can you tell me from your experience of why
mm,
this went wrong or when it went right? So, I think that
yeah.
that's one of the things that I did a lot this year was just sit back for a second because we give them everything that we need, that they need here at the university with our program. So, how do you want to deliver? You know, your game. How do you want to play? How do you want to feel? So, I think that that was a big. I'm not saying it was a big difference, but it's something that I definitely talked to them a lot about this year.
I have so much respect for you wanting to listen first as a coach. It's so easy for us to coach at players rather than coach with players. And I think when you open the door of, hey, where are you guys at? That open line of communication built a lot of trust from your guys into you because this, oh man, this guy wants to listen first and coach second. That's a player's coach, in my opinion. But also, too, I know that your coaching journey, you've been in situations where you've had to coach both men's and women's tennis at the same time. And now you're focused just solely on the men's tennis program at NJIT. And a lot of these facets that you're talking about with diving deep into players' whys and what makes them tick and get to knowing them as the person, would you say that the model that you have set up at the school really gives you the time to dive deep into these guys' lives and have that alignment to help them be present?
I mean, look, we have everything that we need here to be successful. Certainly, we're not a power four, but I do other things outside, like we spoke about meditation. I have a guy, Gail Getchins from Haiti, that works with us specifically. He's also worked with other teams like Baylor and professional athletes and things like that. So, meditation has always been part of what we do here. But again, at the end of the day, the university gives us everything. I mean, we don't feel here like we're feeling the pressure of any sport being cut or
Mhm.
the psychologist and nutritionist and our meditation coach and things like that. So we're definitely not falling behind from a university standpoint.
Outside of allowing your guys to be present and having the tools that you need to be successful, a big piece that you've always tried to tap into with your programs is accountability. And I know you shared about some tough matches in Texas, or I know that once you guys eventually got to the NCAAs last year, that's a whole nother world and gauntlets. What are you doing today that allows your players to sustain that accountability? And is it just keeping that open line of communication to where they feel comfortable coming to you, whether they're crushing it or they can't make a serve that day?
Yeah, it's an open line of communication. We have guidelines on our team where communication is a big portion of it. And then usually if you don't communicate, you break one of our standards. So communication is the only way that you can maintain accountability because you're putting yourself in a position to be vulnerable and say, today I don't feel this way, or this is going on, or I have a personal issue, or I need to speak to our team psychologist, or I need to speak to our meditation guy. And, so there's the only way really to be accountable is to put yourself out there and to be vulnerable. It's as much as, yeah, I certainly get peeved at times where it's like, oh, you're telling me 10 minutes before. Well, there's nothing you can do. These are still growing human beings that need to learn the process of life, and all we can do is keep on reminding them that if you were in a business world and you
Mm.
told me, and whether you become a tennis coach, whether you go on to the pro tour, whether you go into business or engineering or become an architect or whatever it is, at some point, you have to be responsible for your behavior. And, we still have to be able to kind of close an eye here and there because we're still teaching them how
Mm,
to go through life, even when they're, 21, 22 years old, 19 years old, you know? Um, which back in my day, I feel like you're more of a grown up 16 than you are nowadays.
yeah.
I mean, I was living alone at 17 years old. So, you know, working at Structure, used the well Express, what was it called
There
now,
you
but
go. Yeah.
and making ends meet to help everything else. But nowadays, you got to just keep going. It's a never ending journey until they step out of this realm and they're really on their own. So yeah.
A lot of the people that listen to BTB Project are former athletes that are making that step into the world and trying to figure out what it's like to handle life without forehands and backhands or their respective sport. And I just had a situation the other day that segues into how your team has handled pressure. I'm getting ready for a big board meeting where I'm part of a sales staff that is presenting to our private equity firm, and it's a big deal. That's a lot of money on the line, and it's like, going into a third set tiebreak. And I remember right before the meeting, I went to the restroom and just looked in the mirror and started saying some positive affirmations because I felt a lot of insecurity and self doubt in that moment. And I've been fortunate enough to tap into some of those mental rituals that, better than anyone, Marco, that our mind can play tricks on us. And being able to handle pressure and handle the moment, it's almost reminding ourselves of who we are rather than the distractions of what the world or what our opponent or what the wind could potentially be tapping into our minds. So when I'm saying that, and you're thinking of the success that you've had or the stumbles that you've had, when it comes to handling pressure and some of the mental practices that you've put into place, I'd love for you to share a time that your team had to overcome some adversity and what mental procedure did you tap into to overcome it?
There's certain things that I do every day. And it's not always every day. That's the wrong one. At certain times, I love to give quotes, and I have a lot of different quotes that are out there online, and that I look at, and I'll send it to our team chat, that we have either, and I specifically choose it to either be a nighttime thing or an early morning thing, where I address something that can help them relax at night, or I put something in that helps them motivate them in the morning. So beyond that, again, we go back to the tools that were being given by Gael, our meditation instructor that helps us, is going back to the breathing, going back to the present moment, and to keep on just understanding that we live in a world of illusions. At the end of the day, we live in a world of a fantasy. Everything that we see out there is not real. The only thing that's real is what you're doing right now at this time, in this moment, um, during this match. You can't predict the future and you can't focus on the past, and with this whole transfer portal and NCAA stuff that's going on right now, um, I look at our team, and not one of them has entered the portal,
Mm,
especially like my number one player who is, close to a 13 UTR that, he could play easily at a power four. But we have a relationship of growth, and it was done through all of those things, as being present in the moment, because you don't know what the future holds for you. So as long as you keep getting better today, the rest will unfold as it comes along. And you have to talk to these young guys about what's going on out there, and we're going to see something that we've never experienced before in this transfer portal coming up this next year if everything follows through with it. And there's going to be a lot of disappointed people because they don't think that what they have is great or good enough for them. But we've been able to stay in the present here. And we've been able to say, what? We love our teammates. We love the school. We love what we're doing here. Let's just keep on pushing it. And let's see what we can do with it. And it paid off in 3 years. So this is, I'm in my fourth year now, and it paid off in 3 years. So
To get buy-in, to get guys on board, and then to have these NCAA regulations come to fruition or that are about to come to fruition, and having your guys still want to stay on board is a testament to who you are and your coaching staff and the institution that you represent. But that's not the case for all schools. And I know that you probably either have teams in your conference or teams that you know about just in NCAA Division One that are trying to navigate this new path. And I'd love from your perspective, we chatted very briefly about a different sport where my son is right in the thick of it and is on his recruiting journey. And it's been a challenge. And I just want to know from your perspective, you've talked about the last 3 to 4 years, but as you're reflecting moving forward with these roster limits and changes, how does that change your approach as a coach?
I think that for me personally, it doesn't change that much because our facility is great. We have 4 indoor courts on campus. We have 16 outdoors at the Althea Gibson Center that we use in Newark. So for me, it doesn't change that much. What is going to change is that you're going to see a lot of American players that would go to some of these really big universities, the Power Fours, and be the 11th, 12th, and 13th guy, have to search for options. So
Mm.
that's going to change a little bit my recruiting because if everybody enters this new, revenue system, like they're calling it, there's going to be guys that are, an 1150, a 12.7, a 12 UTR that, you know, they're going to say, I'm not going to play 10 at a power four. So what do I really want to do? So I think that we're going to have to a little bit expand our search into the American market where previously we wouldn't have gotten those guys. Now we're going to have more accessibility to them. Yes, we predominantly have a lot of international players on my team. But now, I think that them and their parents are going to start to consider other options, especially when you have high academic school like ourselves that are, top 80, we're 84 by US News and World. And we have several programs here that are highly recognized that, hey, we have everything else that another mid-major school or a power four could give you, with the exception of paying you $100,000 a year or $50,000 a year to come play for your school, which these are all here, she say things, but certainly it's out there that the pay for play is starting. And I just don't know
Mm.
what's going to happen.
I think of guys like myself as a walk-on, that whole journey of having a chance to take a scholarship. When coaches are making decisions on their rosters, I almost feel like the day in the life of the walk-ons might not exist anymore in the future. And the American players, I've been able to have a lot of conversations. Guys like Colton Smith, he was a guy that was recruited in a way that he didn't get a lot of looks because he came from rural Washington and not a lot of people really knew who he was. And he didn't play many tournaments before that. So he didn't have the accolades. But to your point, sounds like you're going to have to take a closer look at what's out there and what's here in our nation to optimize and round out your roster. To think again of your success, Marco, and success is always challenging, especially for a school that hasn't ever achieved the success that you've had in tennis. To maintain your humility, um, winning a conference championship, that's just a massive milestone for that program and seeing you guys lift the trophy. I love those images. But when it comes to keeping your team motivated and humble as you prepare to build off the success of last year, how did you approach that in the fall? And how do you approach that going into the spring?
Obviously, I know the challenges of trying to go back to back. I was on a team in 2004 that won the NCAA Division II national championships, and then we won it again in 2005. And so we did things a little differently this semester because Pablo was doing so well, top six in the region and getting into All American. And we tried to do some changes to our fall schedule. And again, the guys think that it comes easy. And then when we just talk about, hey, how'd this fall go compared to last fall? Well, we had a lot of guys that were losing. So not everybody had a winning record this year, even though we're playing at a higher level. We're playing better competition. Um, and that's the point. You know, you as you get better, you want to play against higher competition, but then that means you're going to lose more. You know, but it's them to see the bigger picture that this is not going to be easy to do this again. You know, and unless we prepare, and unless we sacrifice our time, deal with our emotion the right way, we're not going to win it again. You
Mm,
know, and we just have to take it day by day. If you're not doing everything that you need to do day by day, then yeah, it's not going to help the team, and you're not going to be as successful. So again, we're just taking it, one day at a time. And when we do mess up and we don't do things that um, are right, then we discuss it. We talk about it and we say, I tell them all the time, I said, guys, this is your team. It's not my team.
mm.
I'm going to have plenty of players throughout my college coaching career, but you're going to remember this for the rest of your life with your teammates, your friends, and the people who you fought with in order to achieve this. You don't do it for me, you do it for yourselves. And you got to keep each other accountable.
It's such a remarkable perspective that you have sharing those two NCAA team championships that you were able to win as a player. And then fast forwarding to being a coach to where you've set a standard, you've achieved success, and then you got to back it up with protecting the championship that you guys won conference wise. I'd love for you to speak to that full circle moment because here you are just a few months back. I believe you were able to go back and celebrate with your former teammates and former school those two NCAA championships and had a chance to reflect on that moment to now being a coach instead of being the underdog or have an expectation to where you have an expectation to defend your championship. What does that mean to have that full circle moment, Marco? And how does that help you become the coach you are?
Look, it was certainly great to go back to West Florida where it really became the reason why I became a coach. I saw the old guys and it was like we never left. Going into this, that's what I'm trying to instill in our guys right now to say that if we can do that, oh, you're going to remember this forever. And that's
Mm,
all you can do. That's all you can do is give them inspirational thoughts, inspirational moments. And hopefully they are of sound mind to accept that and believe in it and know that, everything comes from the heart. And if you don't give the heart to day in and day out, then it's not going to happen. You know, we were speaking when I was at the Hall of Fame about how each and every moment of that year was just about the train of thought. Like we
mm,
knew what we were doing. Um, we had the study. We still went out and had a great time together. And we just knew that when the time came, we had to be laser focused on this one match. And it was one match after another, after another, after another. Not, wasn't about, the championship. It was about to continuously be able to bring ourselves together, and we focus on today, we focus on today, we focus on today, and it unfolds.
You've seen a lot with what it's looked like during your time as a player and where it is now, and you've given some great advice. And I think of other players and coaches that are trying to do what you did a little over 3 years ago, take over a program to where you see a vision, and now you're truly living in that vision. And it's hard to find the right balance between chasing results and enjoying the journey. So if you think of general advice to coaches and players out there that are about to embark on their college tennis journey, what comes to mind on maybe the 2025 book of Marco Matteucci's tips and tricks on how to find success at the college level?
Again, this is not rocket science. I love to use this phrase. I say it all the time. Actually, I hadn't said it in a while in a practice the other day. And the guys were like, you haven't said that in a long time. I'm like, yeah. I was like, because you're not reinventing the wheel. This is not rocket science. It's about staying in the moment. The journey is going to be what it is. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you're better than what either people tell you or what you see out there and social media. You got to work for it at the end
Mm,
of the day. Um, so for me, at the end of the day, it's just, again, we just try to keep them in a place where they're in the present, and that's the only way, to do. You got to let it unfold. Let it unfold. Of course, we know what the goal is. I mean, that's that's normal, you know. But did you win today? Did your Was your day a winnable day? You know,
mm. Yeah, Marco, I got one more for you, and we'll tie it back to quotes since you're a quote guy. I recently came across a concept that really ties together, I think, your philosophy and what you bring to table on the mental aspect and how you motivate your guys. But essentially, as coaches, especially in tennis, when an athlete makes a mistake, let's say they're double faulting or their forehand cross court percentage is low, they keep hitting down the line, and they're feeding up the net player to cut off balls and all the things they know that they're not supposed to do. Sometimes we dwell on that because we want to see them work on those things and correct those things. But this quote essentially says desire plus removing barriers equals desired result. So a lot of times when we focus on the things that we want to fix, we're actually focusing on the barriers that are not allowing us to create the desired result. So you've talked about being present. You've talked about being free and clear of some of the distractions that we can see as tennis players. What does that quote mean to you? And do you believe that as coaches, we could do a better job of finding positive reinforcements in the athletes that we help rather than what they're doing wrong?
well, I think there's a time and place for that. There's a time where we got to take a step back and, yes, be in the present in order to make it become an unconscious reaction. It certainly isn't during the season. It certainly isn't during a match. It has to come when we've analyzed the match, where we've known what things are wrong, and then we
Mm,
can think about it and drive ourselves crazy about it in order to make it better. Because at the end of the day, we have a sport that if you're not obsessed with it, you're not going to be the best at it. You
mm,
have to be obsessed, but you can't be obsessed during the match. You have to be obsessed when practice comes. Your obsession comes then. Your obsession comes waking up in the morning. Your obsession comes when you fall asleep at night. And that's the hardest part, is to differentiate that when I get to the match portion of it, and then when I am in the spring mode and competition mode, that it is what it is. I'm going to try to apply it, but I can't think about it. I can't be obsessed about changing something. I can only hope that it goes right as I keep on trying to improve my game.
Mm.
You know, there's times that when I get a guy in January, like I have 2 guys coming in January, they're getting thrown into the fire.
Mm.
I'm sure they're going to have things that are technically wrong, things that they don't do right. But it's my job to understand which one I can pick at and which one I can't pick at. And it will have to wait until next fall, when we have time and when really, it's not the biggest moment of the year. So that's how I would kind of relate that quote that you were saying to me.
Well said, Coach. Unbelievable journey. I just tip my hat to the success that you've had. Again, current Southland Conference champions in NJIT men's tennis. What are we going to be excited about and look forward to for your program at the conclusion of the spring? What's the end goal for you guys this year?
Oh, the end goal is just like anybody else, to win it, to win another one. I just want to see the best come out of my guys. I mean, look, Pablo Perez Ramos is a guy that, he hopes to go on tour after he's close to a 13 UTR. He has all the ability in the world to make it over time. He's not going to be a guy, certainly, that comes out of here and gets to 150 in his first year. But can he be 150 in 3 to 4? Absolutely. When we have our number 2-3 player, Will Jenkins, Nech Skorian, that are high level players. And as long as they get healthy, stay healthy, keep on being part of the bigger picture with the rest of the guys that we have on a team, certainly we're going to compete for it. But again, we have to focus on every single day. That's it.
Love your perspective, Coach. It's been a tremendous honor to catch up with you. Continued success. Keep doing what you do. And thanks for joining me today on the BTB Project.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, I always follow you. So keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully we can come back again when I have another one.
Let's do it. 2-time Southland Conference champion. Not going to jinx it, but shooting for the stars, man. Best of luck to you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. What a remarkable time yet again to catch up with Marco Matteucci. He's been able to have success leading his program to a Southland Conference Championship. Appreciated his overall coaching philosophy. Being able to have situations with his team where he's willing to listen to his team first and coach at them second really speaks to his ability to have that constant communication chain, that transparency, to understand his players is such a vital part as a coach. And for you as the listener, Marco's approach to the mental side of the game, whether you're on the tennis court or having the battles in life, there are so many unbelievable mental practices that we can tap into, whether it's positive affirmations, being able to create patterns in our life that are healthy and congruent to what we're trying to accomplish, finding times to be accountable, to know those times where you might have bad habits or you're off track towards your goals, that there are ways to pattern interrupt those bad habits to get yourself back on track. And I just really appreciated Marco's insight on that and how he orchestrates that as a coach. Listen, if this BTB episode impacted you, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this message to a family member, friend, or colleague and tell them why it impacted you. It's listeners like you and doing this together as a community that allows this podcast to be so powerful. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.